What's the word, please?
Success.
They can measure their success. Matter of fact, a good business is going to constantly measure their success, whether it be a quarterly basis with their CPA or a weekly basis through meetings with their employees. As a married couple, you get to measure your success too. And the cool thing about it is, just like in business, it never ends. Until the business closes down, or in other words, one of you die, or both of you die, or divorce, which we're not going towards, you measure it. See, year 1 and 3 for my wife and I, well, I'll go to my plan in just a moment, but usually it goes like this. Year 1 to 3, it's all about YouTube. It's all about sex. It's all about just being hermits in your house. You've forgotten your friends and family. You don't care as long as you get to school and back or work and back and you get to be with each other. And then usually about 4 to 5, 4 to 10, you start kind of getting into life. You start having kids. You start having better success at your job. You start doing things that you think will be adding to your own life in society. And then probably about years 10 to 13, you're feeling kind of actually a bit more sure about your life. See, this is where we are right now. We're a little bit more sure. We're a little bit more right on what we want to do for the rest of our lives. And then years 15 to 20 is the teenage years with the kids, and you wish you could kill them, and you wish you could go back to years 1 and 3 where it was just sex all the time, so you don't have to worry about them, and it's just a cycle that happens. And then years 25 plus, they're out of the house. And this is where a little bit of a challenge happens. Because a lot of times people think, they have this myth in their head, that my job as a parent is to make my child number 1 in my life. And that's where years 25 plus have an issue. One of the highest rates of divorces in our country right now are divorces for the elderly, between ages 50 to 56. The divorce rate is up to 48% right now. Now you would think, and I think, that if you've been married for 25 years, why are you just going to up and get a divorce now? Come on, there should have been some lessons you learned to where you can make it last longer. One of the things that causes it, though, is that there are too many parents focusing on my child, my child, my child, and forgetting my spouse, my spouse, my spouse. See, in my family, we've had discussions already at least 3 times where we've sat down with the kids and said, by the way, you're not the most important thing in my life. Which is a little bit of a shocking thing for a child to hear, until you follow it up with, your mother is. I will choose your mother over you every day of the week. Understand that. Because then they know, number 1, that my love for her is real and her love for me is real. But number 2, that they now have to make their own way in life, number 1. That they are not the most important thing in their life, and that I will never choose them over her. Therefore, when they're gone, I still have the same relationship as I do now or when we were dating. So it's a decision you need to make in your life and be able to measure your success that way. When your kids are teenagers and you want to be their friends, what caused my parents' first divorce. When your kids are going off in their own life and they're always coming back to you to tag on, you need to understand how you can stop that. And you can only stop that if your priorities are important, or are put in place. See, finally, businesses have one other really important thing that we all need to have in there. All right, I'm going to the bottom here. What's the word, please?
Goals.
Goals. Every business has a goal. Now, at the beginning, their goal might be just to get started, and then maybe they have this fantasy dream of being a multi-billion-dollar company and Fortune 500 and all that stuff. Great. But they're always looking at the goal differently. They're always trying to change that goal. Yet often in marriage, we end up, what's the goal when we're dating? Okay, to get married. And what color of napkin we're going to have at the wedding reception. And then maybe what our honeymoon is. And pretty much after that, we're not thinking too much. And then we get married, and it's like, oh crap, maybe we should put some goals together. And all right, well, let's graduate from school and maybe get a good job or whatever it might be. But we don't really think too much in the future, so we need to make sure we're thinking of a future that will make us work towards it, as opposed to, okay, whatever happens. Honestly, there is a brand. It's funny, you're having to goof around, not focus totally. It works, right? Was I right? Yeah, okay.
You are right.
All right. I mentioned earlier that my parents actually divorced. They divorced when I was about 8 years old, which is probably a bit of a drive of why I do this. Yet in 2001, I attended my 10-year high school reunion. And have any of you got back to your reunion yet? Okay. Where I came from in California, it was kind of shocking to me the amount of people that were either married and divorced, married and divorced again. It's our 10-year high school reunion. I mean, if they got married the first year we graduated, that was only 10 years. Shannon and I had been married for 7 years at that time. It blew me away. Shocked the heck out of me with kids and the whole bit. And being somebody who went through a divorce as a kid, it actually brought me back to the moment that my parents divorced. And I remember the moment my dad leaving. I was standing on our driveway. I was 8 years old, and he had packed up his little Honda Civic, and he drove away. And it was the last time I knew my family would be together. Now, they'd had separations and stuff before that, but I knew this was it. And I was pretty upset. And one of my friends, Michelle, actually came riding up the street in her little bike, and she drives and things. She sees that I'm upset, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And so my mom and dad just divorced, or just split up or whatever. And she said, she goes, "Oh, it's okay. My dad leaves all the time and he comes back." And I knew it wasn't going to happen. I knew this was it. It was done. And what really upset me, what really pissed me off, was immediately I went back to all the times that my parents said things like, when I was in baseball, actually T-ball, and struck out. Yeah, I struck out in T-ball. And they would say, keep on doing what? Trying, right? And then when I would be doing chores at home, they'd say, don't just do what you're told to do, go the extra mile. Or they would come up to me and say, if I did wrong in spelling, I'm a terrible speller, just keep trying and don't give up. Yeah. And yet here I'm standing there as an 8-year-old kid who's been told this for the last 8 years of my life, keep trying, don't give up, go the extra mile, do what you need to do. And my parents are sitting there saying, yeah, we gave up. It's okay for us to give up. It's okay for us to stop trying. It's okay for us to stop doing what we should be doing to make each other happy for our own good. Now, I'm sure if I had my parents here, and my mom's been in one of my sessions before, they would say what? They would say, yeah, but we really gave it a really good what? Try or effort. Can I be totally blatant and honest with you guys? And I hope you have the same feeling as I do, and if you don't, you will soon. Trying anything, in my opinion, is just another way of saying, hey, I plan on failing, I just don't want to admit it right now. So that you'll have the guise of thinking I actually did something. See, I believe we have a fear in our society, especially when it comes to marriage. Actually, it brings itself out in just about everything. It is not okay in our society to say, I failed. But it's perfectly okay to say, well, I gave it a good try. Why is it not okay to say I failed? Look, I did something, I went towards something, I did not make it, I failed. I learned and now I'm moving on and I'll do it again. But this try again thing for me is a little bit of a nice excuse. It's an excuse that tears families apart, that makes it a lot easier for us to move on with our lives. Whatever is left in the wake is left in the wake, and I can say, oh, I tried. So, my hope is that from now on, you won't try to do anything. Either do it or don't. Either do it or fail. And be happy in your failure. It's okay. I screwed up. I tell my kids all the time how much I screw up. I want them to know that I fail in life. Because you know what? My parents would not allow me to do that. My mom was perfect. My mom had everything put together, always the hair. She still does. I mean, she's the best dressed poor person you will ever meet. She has got every single piece of jewelry you can think of. She's always looking good, and she's putting on a facade. She still does it, and we talk about it all the time. And I was taught and brought up that it's better to put on a facade, and if it doesn't work out, say, well, I tried, than it is to say, you know what, we just failed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't ask for help when I should have. And I know I'm right. And you know why I'm right? I know I'm right? Because Mr. Miyagi agrees with me.